We have Nikrekt, Azura, we have Kamikaze. Again, a lot of big names here in the second half of the bracket, but we're going to be focusing our attention on the upper half. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have our red Zerg player from the land of Poland, representing his new team, Platinum Esports. It is Aristori. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the green Protoss from the land of Singapore, representing Team Hyper 1. It is LeoRusher. Here we go. Getting across the map. We are going to be settling into things here as Aristori forced to take the unnatural natural. LeoRusher does get here in time. And again, LeoRusher, he was once a rusher, he was once a cheeser. Nowadays, a lot more standard. As we saw game 1 against Neo, he did go for 4-gate blink. Game 2 and 3-gate blink into a third, into a fourth base, into a more macro game. Here against Aristori, I expect to see a Stargate opener into Oracles, into an expand, into, into triple Oracle into a third base is what I'm expecting to see, into +1 Blink Stalkers. Like a standard game from LeoRusher. We'll see if that's the case. We'll see if he does embrace a standard PvZ. Likewise, Aristori, as a Polish Zerg player, he thrives in the mid game. Typically when we cast him, he does thrive on 3-base saturation, Lingbane, Roach Ravager. That is Aristori's wheelhouse. That is where he thrives. And I'm really curious to see how these two players match up and how they compare. Two players from different regions. One from Southeast Asia, one from Europe. I would say they're both similar in the sense that in their respective regions, they're both in the middle of the pack. We have LeoRusher still trying to break into the upper echelons of Southeast Asia. Likewise, Aristori trying to break into the upper echelons of Europe as well. I think they're both kind of like, again, players that are trying to make a name for themselves. And it's hard to say like who's favored here, just because I'm sure they don't often play against each other. I'm sure they more often than not, they avoid each other here just because of their regions. So I'm excited. I'm ready for it. In my mind, they're going to be pretty evenly matched, but that could just be in the mind. That could just be my perception, but is it based in reality? We'll see. Behind this, Stargate opener out of LeoRusher. As we expected, it should be an Oracle opener here from our Protoss. We'll see if that's the case. Meanwhile, across the map, Aristori, he's just going for a hatch, or into hatch gas pool, into a third base. Standard setup from our Zerg. Standard setup here. Just catching up with the chat. And just catching up. As LeoRusher, he's just going to be poking with the first adept. We do have a second adept on the way, I imagine. It's going to be chilling back at home. So LeoRusher not going to be as aggressive. Lights, hi. There was a local SC2 tournament here in my city last night, and I won. Let's go. Congratulations. Congratulations, Base Habits in the chats. Oh, congrats, Papi. Congrats. That's really cool. It's really cool that there was a local tournament. Hopefully you have more. Hopefully it was successful and the organizers, whoever they were, are tempted to and incentivized to make more. It'd be really cool if you could grow your local scene. So best of luck, Base Habit. As I do see Aristori going for his Roach One. This is an early Roach One, by the way. This is a sub 4-minute Roach One here from Aristori. This is not standard. Considering that LeoRusher opened up Stargate into a third base, the Roach One should not be anywhere near finishing by now. So we'll see if Aristori, what he has in store for us. I'm imagining he's going to be saturating up to 2-base saturation, like droning up to 2 bases, and then just hammering down that Roach key and being as aggressive as possible. Otherwise, this is a misread. Again, the Roach One should only be this early if you're going for an all-in, or if you expect a Twilight Council opener, something like Glaive Adepts or DTs. But again, that shouldn't really be on the mind of Aristori. Third base is being taken. Oracles tried to go in but didn't get much done. They didn't kill any drones. And it looks like maybe Aristori he did overreact. We have been droning. We've been droning this entire time. Lings are on the way. We are making a handful of Overlords though. We actually quite heavily oversupply, but nah, yeah, we're just droning. And the Adepts, they're getting damage done. Oh my god. 3 drones go down. 3 workers already, and we're shading into the main base. More drones going to be falling. As we shade into the main, good target firing here by LeoRusher. He gets 6, he could even get 7. There we go, 6 drones go down, and we are still just droning. So it looks like this was a misread. It looks like Aristori assumed that it was going to be an aggressive opener, and this Roach Warren was a big investment. And as we can see, it was a little bit wasteful. Like, we didn't make use of the Roach Warren at all. So again, just either a misread or just really safe play, like insanely safe play out of Aristori. And this could come into the, this could be a big factor as to, or because LeoRusher is a little bit more unknown, right? It's like, we have casted LeoRusher for years, right? I casted LeoRusher back in 2019, 2018. Like, I'm very familiar with him. But when it comes to players outside of our region, outside of Southeast Asia and Oceania, it's possible that Aristori, yeah, he maybe just assumes he's a bit of a cheeser and he just wants to be safe. Doesn't really know who LeoRusher is. Good target firing here. One of the Oracles. Second Oracle goes down. LeoRusher, big overextension. Bleeding out of Oracles. Gets a Revelation off. Gets eyes on the Roaches as we are getting them underway. Aristori working on a 4th base. He's drone up to sub 3-base saturation. I'm looking for around 66 workers. That's kind of what we're looking at. And there it is. Gases are being taken, and we should soon get this all saturated. Behind this, +1 Blink Stalkers. I assumed that LeoRusher would be going for triple Oracle into a 3rd into +1 Blink. Exactly what happened. You know, just a standard game here out of LeoRusher into double Robo Colossus. This tells us that LeoRusher is going to be defensive. No Gateway Explosion. We're only working with 4 gateways, which means we're not spending money warping in Stalkers. We're spending our money on Colossus first. We're going to be hitting a big power spike. 2 and then 4 Colossus. We're not going to be pushing anytime soon. We have a War Prism, yes, but... Oh, actually, LeoRusher, he could move out with his first 2 Colossi. It'd be a little bit risky, but he could try to pull that off. Instead, nah, we're just taking a 4th. So a very tech-heavy style. This is a long way of getting at this fact, basically. There's a very tech-heavy style here from LeoRusher. As a Zerg player, you want to be responding to this by being very greedy and being very tech-heavy yourself. I like the infestation bit here from Aristori. Unfortunately, Aristori, he overmade Roaches. You can see here, he did make a Roach Ravager army, and if he doesn't use it, then this is resources that we could have spent on a faster infestation pit, more drones, faster hive, faster hydrogen, faster tech, into lurkers, into vipers. So we'll see if this Roach Ravager army pays off. As we do push out. We do focus down one of those pylons. We do depower the gateway. At the same time, Lings, they do flood in, and we do deny the 4th. Very nicely done. The Biles! Ooh. LeoRusher just walks into them, stumbles across them, a big bounce here to the face. As we're working on more Colossus Lings, they come in first round. No shot. Can they get it? Up, they barely can, and the juggling. The hot pick up there. LeoRusher barely does save the Colossus. Very nicely done. And we have hit that critical mass that we spoke about. 4 Colossus. Now is the time that we can push. We can see, though, bit of an anti-timing. +2. Ideally, +2 is lined up with 4 Colossi. We may want to wait a little bit longer, as there it is. Chrono is thrown down. We're chronoing out that +2 as best we can. 4th base is being taken. And we're producing Immortals. LeoRusher, we're pushing. We're moving out with this army. And Aristori is maxed out. And thankfully, just in time with Hive Tech. We have 2 Vipers on the way. If Vipers are ready for this, they will completely shut this down. Because Vipers, they can abduct, they can yoink in these Colossus and pick them off. Aristori getting ready. The crease spread, not ideal. A little bit lackluster. LeoRusher, he does push in. Rotating over towards the left-hand side. We're trying to find a way up the ramp. Vile's gonna be buying time. The Vipers, they have arrived. They need a little bit more time. We need that energy. We need those abductions. A big blink here from LeoRusher. Yoink comes in. We get 1. We get 1 Colossus, but only 1. We have another abduct. Getting a 2nd Colossus. Big yoinks here from Aristori. Good juggling out of LeoRusher, saving 2 of them, saving 3. I spoke too soon. 2 Colossus do remain, but LeoRusher, he's barely breaking through. Queens are going down. We're pushing into the National and into the third base at the same time. LeoRusher, there we go, consolidating his army. Avoids the Biles. Ravagers are going down. The Viper looking a bit exposed. Roaches are going down as they spawn. We're camping the production. We can see Aristori diving on the Colossus. He gets one more. There's one left. 1 Colossus remaining. And can we pick it up? The boys are being pulled. The Immortals are going down. It's going to be a tight hold. Can we survive? It looks like these Blinks are too good. The Blinks is just a little bit too good here. And LeoRusher has broken the Zerg player. Spore Crawlers are repositioning, but the Colossus does... Oh no, it doesn't live! It goes down to the Spores. Aristori making some magic happen here, but he lost 25 drones. Another big warp in here into the main, or into the National, pushing into the main. Yeah, we blink on forward, and LeoRusher, he has too much. Again, Aristori barely not ready for this. We had some good, like the Vipers, they were able to get some good abductions there, but maybe a little bit too late. GG gets called. LeoRusher will take game number 1. GG. And my question has been answered. I was curious if we have an up-and-coming player from Southeast Asia up against, like, sorry, I should say a rising star or like a forming star coming up from Southeast Asia against an equivalent in Europe. How do they compare? They're looking pretty comparable. They're looking pretty close in skill. LeoRusher, he does come out on top. Again, there was a bit of inefficiency from Aristori. I don't want to harp on it too much, but we did briefly mention about how Aristori, he got a really early Roach Horn that didn't use. He also invested quite heavily into Roach Ravager, and he wasn't able to gain a lot of value with it. Remember when he was basically at, I think it was around 80 supply, he pushed out, hit the 4th base, wasn't able to really get any damage, he killed the pylon. There were these like small little things that did slow down Aristori's ability to get into Hive tech, to get into Vipers, get into Hive upgrades like Adrenal Fillings, like 3/3 upgrades, Spellcasters, Lurker tech. All of that was delayed because it did feel like Aristori was maybe being overly safe. I want to say that. I want to kind of like put it in that light where it felt like Aristori was playing a bit scared, was maybe just being a little bit too defensive because he's unfamiliar with his opponents and he doesn't want to get cheesed out. I understand. Rusher is in the name, you know, right? It's like he was maybe afraid of some cheese when really that fear did slow him down. Likewise, the juggling, the micro from LeoRusher, that was commendable. Definitely commendable, and I should also emphasize that. But here we go, we're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have our Polish Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing his new team, the Platinum Esports. It is Aristori. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Green Protoss player, representing Team Hyper 1 from the land of Singapore, leading the series 1-0. It is LeoRusher. Let's go. See chat, Leo planning to go double Colossus into Disruptor? Kind of. So again, the build specifically, I should emphasize this a little bit more. I apologize if I didn't make it clear, but the build that LeoRusher was going for was a 4 Colossus timing. That is a big power spike. I also was trying to emphasize as well that specifically that is a timing with +2. Ideally, your +2 as Protoss is lined up with your 4 Colossi. He was able to hit that. He did have a couple of Immortals to reinforce, and we push then and there. It does take a while for that to get going, and I don't know if you noticed, but LeoRusher with that build, let's go for a Hatch Gas Pool for a Zerg player. With that build, specifically that style lacks map control, so he had no presence on the map. He had 0 presence on the map. Very little harassment outside of his first couple of adepts. If you remember, his oracles died as well in the lead up to the mid game. So that's the downside of that build from LeoRusher, is that you're building up, you're relinquishing map control, you're relinquishing any harassment in favor of building up towards this big push. That is why as a Zerg player, it's very important to realize what's going on and to capitalize on that, right? If your opponent isn't going to be aggressive, if they aren't going to harass you, we need to drone. We need to get up to 80 workers as quickly as possible and max out as quickly as possible, get into Hive Tech, maybe get into Lurker Tech, but you don't have to get into Lurker Tech. You could still max out on Lingbane Roach Ravager. And then, because you're going to be the first to max out, you can start trading. You can start trading, and you can start engaging in the center of the map. We saw that LeoRusher, he didn't engage the Zerg army until he was already at the front door. Remember, he was already knocking down that front door, pushing up the ramp when the army started to clash. Whereas, again, ideally, as a Zerg player, you want to be engaging ahead of time, trading, and replacing that Roach Ravager Lingbane army over time, because that is your advantage as a Zerg player. Your production and your economy is something that you should be leveraging there, that we weren't able to. But scratch all of that. That's all about game one. We're done with game one. We're getting into game two. Twilight Council opener into a robo. We have not pulled out a gas yet. This could be one of two things. Because we haven't pulled out a gas, I'm feeling DTs. I'm feeling a DT opener. If we stay in, the other option, this could be a Glaive Adept variation. Okay, there we go. Glaives are on the way. So 4-gate Glaive Adept is usually sustained by, there we go, by pulling out a gas. And there it is, 2-on-2. We were stuck with 3 and 3 for a while, which is why I assumed it was going to be DTs. But now we're down to 2-on-2, 4-gate Glaive Adepts. Let's go. Oh, my apologies. That is not 4-gate Glaive Adept. That is a 2-base all-in. Now we can see why we stayed in gas a little bit longer. Because we needed more gas, because we're going to be warping in more Adepts. There's 4 in the main. There's 2 in the natural. 6-gate Glaive Adept. Very committed from LeoRusher. Very committed here. And Aristori has to piece it together. Once again, early Roach Warren. This time this pays off. This time, even though Aristori hasn't scouted, going for this early Roach Warren is going to work so well in the defense. So really good move here out of Aristori, reading the game state well, or just guessing well. So here we go. Do you have that Roach Warren on the way? Prism is moving out. Adepts are about to hit. We have joined up to 35 cutting workers a little bit early on. Spores are on the way. Aristori, he doesn't know if it's Adepts or DTs, so he's making spores in case it is Dark Templar. Adepts, they have arrived. 7 roaches are on the way. How many things do we have? 16. We have to buy time. We have to buy time for the roaches. And here we go. We do push in. Adepts into that third base. Queen goes down. Big pickup already. We get a queen. We shade in. But we use the ramp to our advantage. We deny surface area. Lings, they come in from behind. Big warping as well. The Prism is safe. The Queens, they do not get close. They try to. You can see the Queens diving on top of the Prism. Prism takes a bit of damage, but the Adepts, they're breaking through. Roaches are going down one after the other. Queen is going to be falling as well. Ay, 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 as we shade back into the third base. The Queens are exposed. We're going for them. One Queen going to be going down. Another Queen as well. Roaches are helping, but we're just playing catch up. We're a little bit too far behind here. As the Adepts, they're wreaking havoc. More Adepts shading in towards the natural. Into the main base. Drones are finally going down. And these workers, there's no way out. There's no safe place. They shouldn't be at the natural, but the roaches, oh, they clean up. They try to. Oh, they try to clean up here as we have lost 14 drones. This is a lot of damage. And Adepts are massing in the main base. Still 11 Adepts in the main. No mining whatsoever. We can see Aristori re-droning. But I feel like we're still looking for more. We're still going to get more damage done. Yeah, we go for another warp in. Again, the sheer amount of Adepts here is not of the norm. It's because we have 6 gateways and Aristori, he just barely can't deal with it. That's a kill of the main base. A kill of the main. We shade in between. We can engage with the Lings and there aren't enough roaches. It's a numbers game. We're snowballing out of control. GG gets called. It's just too much to handle. And LeoRusher takes the series 2-0. GG. Whew. GG. Well played. Congratulations here to LeoRusher. Again, it was so important there that LeoRusher was killing the Queens. As we saw, the Prism was getting a little bit low there, and if the Queens were together, if the Queens were kept safe, and if they were together, they could transfuse each other. That's kind of the big thing. Like, if the Queens, they were bunched up together, they can support each other, and then we can threaten the Prism. And more importantly, if the Queens survive, if they can threaten the Prism, we zone the Prism away, and we don't warp into the main, right? Like, we saw that LeoRusher, he was free to warp in wherever he wanted. There was limited anti-air because the queens were prioritized. The queens were the first things to be killed even before the drones. So really good like prioritization from LeoRusher, and unfortunately Aristori wasn't able to preserve his queens, wasn't able to have mobile anti-air, and he couldn't deny the prism. As soon as the queen started dying, as soon as the prism got into the main, we saw that we could just freely warp in wave after wave of adept. Even with the early Roach Warren, didn't matter because it was an all-in, because it was a 6 gate, the reinforcements became too much. GG, well played. Did snowball out of control. Congratulations. Congratulations to LeoRusher. Congratulations to LeoRusher for taking down his opponent 2-0. My condolences to Aristori. I'm a big fan of Aristori. You know, fun fact, Aristori, he isn't just a player. He also streams. He also organizes events. He's sponsored events in the past. I feel like Aristori, he's a pretty big part of the Polish scene, and it is a bit of a shame to see him go down here. So my heart goes out to Aristori. GG, well played. I hope to see more of him. Congratulations as well to Aristori for joining a new team. I should have put a little bit of emphasis on that, but he did recently join the Platinum Heroes and also now Platinum Esports. So it's really cool to see Aristori continuing to get support and to be noticed, right? Like Platinum Heroes, they're investing quite a bit into their roster and quite a bit into their Polish roster especially. Or I should say like Eastern Europe roster with Polish players and players from all around Europe. So I do wish him the best, and I do hope to see more of Aristori in the coming months. Specifically, the reason why the Platinum Heroes are bolstering their roster and even creating an offshoot Platinum Esports team is because they're going to be competing in WTL, right? So they're going to be competing in WTL. They're going to be competing in World Team League. So we will see more of Aristori in World Team League. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. GG, well played. With that, we have to find our next series.